I sent the classroom link in the Discord chat there.
Yeah, that was the one. Okay, cool, thanks.
Okay, great. I think we're pretty much good to go. Let's see. Just trying to find the first one. This classroom thing is pretty cool. I mean, it's nice that we can... I just imported the study, and it just got all the positions in here. Okay, I think this is the first one that you guys did for this week. Is that right? Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to load it up. Let's see here. Okay, great. All right, I think we're ready to start. All right, hey everyone. Yeah, so this is like a weekly training that we've been doing for just any members that are in the 2000 and up cohorts. We've been working on some endgame studies lately because we kind of talked about it and realized that that would be something that could be very useful actually for both sides. Number one, for the students, because I think they're at the level where solving endgame studies is really, really helpful, especially like learning to calculate and figure out the trickier problems. And also we've been discussing on our end, like adding endgame studies to the program, but we don't really have like a great recommendation. Cause like my course, I think we added my course, but it's mainly appropriate, I would say, for like under 2000. The point is to like make it more accessible for low rated players, but for high rated players, there's a couple of good study books out there like Domination and books like that, but I don't know. I think they could be improved. So by doing these problems and having these guys solve them, I'm also getting some feedback on these problems and what kinds of like I don't know. I guess I'm learning more about the process of like solving harder and harder problems. So last week we skipped a class, but I sent the group a bunch of studies, and they said they got through pretty much most of them. So we're gonna review some of them right now. And yeah, so for this one, I won't have you guys type out your answers because you've already kind of worked on it. So, I think for these, we can just start kind of discussing them one by one. Actually, give me 1 minute, guys, or 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, so I forgot to mention, a lot of these studies are taken from this Dvoretsky book, Recognizing Your Opponent's Resources, which I don't remember when it came out, but it's a little bit more recent than some of Dvoretsky's other books. Actually, it's a really great book. I've been solving some puzzles from this almost every day, and I feel like it's really good material. You don't really have a lot of books that cover these kinds of problems, where in every problem there's like counterplay and there's let's say like obvious moves that look correct but actually fail to some tactics, and and the book also has like some studies. So a few of these are from here, and that was kind of like the theme for most of the problems. Anyway, let's get into it. I'm going to try to convince David and Jesse to include this book in the program because I think it's really good. But that's neither here nor there. What did you guys think on this first one, Whites of Play? Okay, E7, yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, let me put that line on the board. Yeah, so you're saying if F7, then black plays here. You said D6, takes. Oh, it's not following? Okay. So You see the live position? Oh, okay. I mean, I feel like I see your username in the classroom. So it seems like you're in the right place, but... Okay, that's good. Yeah. Or maybe just, refresh is needed or something. I think there are definitely still some bugs with this thing. All right, cool. So, yeah, bishop takes f7. So if takes, king takes, that's a draw, right? You were saying d7. Mm-hmm. Right, bishop e8 is kind of a miracle defense. If white promotes to a heavy piece, it's a stalemate. If you promote to a minor piece, then it's just going to be an endgame draw. And then takes, of course, king takes, and picks up the pawn. Okay, good. So this was like kind of the trap in the position. So you were saying instead, what did you want to do for white? Mm-hmm. Oh, so here, and then here. Okay. Yeah, Rinked, is that what you had as well? Cool. And Junk, how about you? Did you get a chance to go through these? Okay, sorry, one sec. Your mic is very low. Okay. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Yeah. D6, and then... Yeah, let's say here, for example. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Okay, very good. I think this is right. Any questions on this one? Yeah. Yeah. No, because otherwise, right, f7 would be kind of winning very easily. Like, okay, the bishop can stay on this diagonal to not let white's pawn push, right? But then the king just gets out and white wins like this. So it's like bishop g6 is kind of critical in order to threaten this concrete draw. And so the line is actually very forcing in a way. Like, okay, you got to push the pawn. Takes, you got to push, and then black, and looks like white wins, but black has this move, bishop b8. So, yeah. No. I think, honestly, I think I'm pretty sure I looked at this one first as well. And I'm not sure if I even saw this, like the tricky line, essentially. Because, if you find the win, you find the win, and then that's it. You don't really look for more. Okay, good. Yeah, go ahead. Gotcha. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay, great. Yeah. Let's go to the next one. Kasparian, white to play. What'd you guys think? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good. So king d6 should be 7. Yeah, this move is a killer, right? And this is very important because just to kind of explain to chat what's going on here. Essentially, we have an endgame, and this d pawn is running. White's b pawn is stuck. So white is actually appears to be worse. Like it seems like white actually needs to find a way to save the game. With king d6, you're threatening possibly to come in, but the real idea is what exactly? Yeah, they're like trying to get the bishop out in order to stop the pawn. And so if like king b6, for example, then I think this would defend like this. Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, this is kind of the key idea to spot. Very good. Okay, so as you were mentioning, right, king d6 tries to set this up. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I don't know. You don't have to be worried. Like bishop versus bishop knight, I don't think you ever lose. Unless you're just immediately losing the bishop, I think you're just absolutely fine. Because I mean, the whole endgame is about like zugzwang anyway, so there's just no there's no way you're gonna lose it. Now, two bishops versus a knight, then that one's a little tricky. You might lose that. Yeah, I mean, I've had bishop and knight endgames where it could have happened. Oh, so he just did it on purpose. Wow. It's hardcore. Wow. It's so unnecessary. You could have just resigned, right? Just yeah. Right, so here bishop b7 ends up winning the game because if white trades bishops, then black's pawn is going to be unstoppable and white's pawn is stuck. So white just loses. And yeah, otherwise there's nothing to do. b6 check, of course, the king just takes the bishop. So yeah, that's a very important move. Yeah, here it's yeah, white just runs out. So good. So you have to start with bishop c8, which is not obvious, but once you start calculating, it becomes apparent that this is kind of the only move. Allowing bishop g4 check, but of course we have king e5. Kind of classic like ready idea where you attack two things and catch up with the pawn. And let's see. Yeah, so the key line here. I assume no. Yeah, it looks like they're both just immediate draws. But yeah, so you already showed the line, but let's just look at it again. So here, let's say black plays d3. Then, yeah. Right. So if black keeps pushing the pawn, king gets to c7. Now black can't stop this idea. So queen check. And nice. Okay. Very good. Let's see. Did you guys have questions on this one? Okay, cool. All right, let's move on. Good, great. That's what it's all about. Yeah, that's what it was like for me as well. I think I saw this one, I don't know, last week or something, and yeah, it was very confusing at first, and then king d6. Well, I think I saw like, actually my thought process was like this. I think I saw this line, like king d6, I thought king b6 black would play, and then bishop c8, and then white gets out. And then I was thinking, well, why not just bishop c8 first? Like there has to be, specific move order. And then I realized, oh, king d6, bishop b7. Once I turned my concrete brain on, I was like, oh, bishop b7 just ends the game for black. And then, yeah, the rest was straightforward. Okay, let's jump to this one. Okay, this was white to play. I don't think... Actually, I'm not sure if this one is in the book or if it's from my course, but yeah, what do you guys think on this one? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so black has this trick. Let me just show this. But what was your line? You were trying this one? Right. Gotcha. Yeah. So you're on the right track. You smelled the stalemate, essentially. But here and then, okay, black can try to promote, but I think, yeah, you're not going to be able to give up the rook, right? So just take, and then the king will run away. Okay, so yeah, that's the issue. B8 queen. Black can first do this, and then rook f1, and after white takes, we have fancy stalemates. So instead, you guys are saying knight f4 check. Okay, so now if rook takes, to rook, all right, it lets me. So yeah, on queen, it's same trick exactly. Still a draw. So white makes a rook. Yeah, because now we're threatening this, right? Well, yeah, that's maybe the hardest part of this problem, because, of course, normally this would just be a drawn endgame. But it's a concrete situation, and rook b3 is, yeah, unfortunate threat. Yeah, let me see. Does black have any tries here? I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Just doesn't get out. Right, so if rook g4, then yeah, white's taking and just picking up this pawn. And of course this pawn is already stuck, so no chance here. Okay, very good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that would be. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, good. Let's keep going. Number 16. Okay, white to play. What do you guys think on this one? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What a position. Yeah. So this is kind of the resource you have to avoid. So you want to start with 1b3. Right. Yeah, principle of one diagonal. That's nice. But right, d6, yeah, just simple solution, and then the bishop is just when it's just like one square left that the bishop can cover, then it's just done because it can never leave this diagonal. So, yeah, that's game over. If the pawn was back on d4, bishop was on f7, then it's black is fine. But yeah, here black is just done for. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little confusing at first because it's like, well, you can go h4, you can go d6, and it's like, what's the difference? What could... so, very suspicious. Yeah. Right. Yeah. They, these ideas, they come up from time to time, and it's like, that's the problem. They come up very rarely, so you're pretty much never like expecting them. but they will happen. And then when they do happen, it's like, oh, you better be ready to catch them because they're gonna be worth a lot of half points. I guess once you have the king stalemate in the corner, there's like some, of course, there's some hints in the position. But yeah, very good. B3 just kills the counterplay, and that's it. White's pawn's just advanced. There's nothing black can really do to stop it. Let's jump to the next one. All right. This one I feel like is pretty tough. What do you guys think on this one? Right, so queen runs into this, yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Did either of you guys have anything different, or sounds good? Nice. Okay, very good. Yeah, like if bishop d4, for example. Right. See here. Yeah, exactly. Right, so here you're just threatening this one. And then, yeah, if here. Maybe this, because there's still no, still no promotion threat. So Rook just keeps dancing, or even maybe Rook F3 is okay too. But yeah, Rook A3, and then yeah, again we always have this one. So Bishop G1, very important move to just kill this threat altogether, and then because then Black will have a move, and then yeah, now we're just ready to promote. Okay, let's do. Oh yeah. So bishop wouldn't be enough material against the rook. Then Black's king would not be mated, and yeah, would be able to get out. All right, good. Yeah, it's still just it would be a theoretical draw. It would be like rook versus rook. You know, you can't win without some kind of big blunder. Now 3 pieces versus the rook. That one I feel like might be winning. I'm not actually sure. It's probably known. Yeah. I do know that rook and 2 pieces is winning against rook and 1 piece. And apparently, like, easily winning is what I've heard. Yeah. But, yeah, I've never really... I mean, those are very rare. Okay. Let's jump to this one. White to play. Right. So, yeah, this one's very interesting because white has to kind of time things properly. Okay, wait. So, what's the solution then? Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, King D. Oh, okay. Gotcha. King D1. Right. Okay. Well explained. So yeah, the issue here is, so e6 white has to start with to cut off the bishop. If the bishop can get out, then the king can walk out, and black will be able to stop the pawns. So e6 is very important. Black pushes a4 because basically this is pretty much the only move. If the bishop tries to escape this way, white pushes this pawn. And here is very important that white's king is like not on this diagonal, because then black would be able to take this one with check and then drop back, stop white's pawns, and make an easy draw. Yeah, on king h7. Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple of details. We kind of have to break them down one by one. But basically, this king can't really go too far, because if you come up this way, right, then just f7. So the king basically has to stay back and forth. So if the king keeps shuffling, then white will just win this pawn and then win the game, because the king can just like walk over and escort the pawns home. So as long as this construction is here, like, black's pieces are essentially stuck, because anytime the bishop tries to escape, then e7 just wins the game. As long as the king is not on one of these kind of death squares, because then black would have either bishop g8 check and then back to this diagonal and saving, or it takes the pawn with check and then back to this diagonal and saving that way. So here white just wins because the king is escaping all these squares. So that's why in e6, a4, yeah, if you try king c3 here, or let's say if king c2, then just immediately bishop h7, right? And black is in time to take this one and then get back to stop the pawns. And then after king c3, a3, we have an unfortunate situation for white, because the only way to approach the pawn is to go king b3. But then again, black can actually try to escape thanks to this backup check. And then the king will come around and take. So, all that to find king d1. Because again, if king c1, then a3, white is in the same zugzwang where you can't approach the pawn without allowing bishop h7. And yeah, as you guys correctly figured out, we need this position with black to move. Yeah, exactly. Right. And then it's going to be another zugzwang after a2, king b2. I mean, this is actually also really cool. If it was just like white to play here, it would like not be so simple. I mean, you could still go king a1, but like, yeah, if black could just pass, then it would be really not so simple. But because black has to make a move, like king h7 or bishop h7, then white is able to take this pawn, right, exactly at the moment that the king is here. Because again, if the king was on h8, then black would have this bishop h7, and then bishop back to g8 resource. So yeah, it ends with another kind of nice nice zugzwang here. So yeah, if here black tried this one, b1, a2. Did you say you don't need to take the pawn? Or no, you can. Yeah, as long as black doesn't have bishop h7. Yeah. That's kind of what this problem is all about. Essentially, not allowing this resource. Yeah, very nice. I mean, and right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed this one. Absolutely. Okay. Any more questions on this one? All right, so let's go on. Okay, this was a classic Watawa. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard of this composer, Watawa, but I think he's Austrian. But yeah, he's extremely creative, and he has a lot of studies that kind of fit this this theme or these themes. Yeah. Oh yeah, no problem, Junk. No worries. But yeah, let's begin. So, white to play. Mm-hmm. Right. So black can defend with bishop a7 here, which looks a bit slow, but then after takes, and then yeah, black is up a full queen, but is actually begging for a draw because the king is caught in this mating net, but has queen b6, which surprisingly saves the game. Okay. Otherwise, yeah, knight d4 would just be kind of winning because white's threatening this mate, even on e takes f4. And yeah, the king has no way to get out. Okay, so yeah, this is kind of the trick in the position, that this doesn't work. So bishop d4 instead. Yeah, very good. So threatening this. Yeah, so this pawn's still alive, right? So yeah, bishop d4. I think black has to take, well, actually two options. First, let's say this one. Right, now this and this are both threats, and yeah, just can't stop them. Can't stop knight f3 at all, I think. Okay. So, better defense. Yeah, ef4, creating a square for the king on g5. Mm-hmm. g5. Bishop h4. Very nice. Okay, threatening to win the queen, right? So king has to take. And knight d4. Right, so threatening this mate again. Black has only one way to escape with the king, and then, yeah, knight e6 wins the queen, and the knight is just like ready to come to c6 and promote the pawn, and so it's you can stop here because the game is well over. Good. Yeah, I really like this one. I mean, it's I think it's one of his more more famous ones, because it's just so like, I mean, it's just a work of art, like this whole thing. For sure. Yeah. No, but these, of course, you're like, they're a bit fantastical. Like you're gonna resign before you reach this position against the queen. You know? Yeah. The mating nuts, of course, they do come up. But yeah, this one is more about just like creativity and really, okay, you have to find what's wrong with knight d4. I would say that's kind of the main one of the main points of the problem. But yeah, very very good. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this is the one you guys struggled with, right? Actually, why don't we do 21 then, and then we'll come back to 20. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right, of course these pawns are ready to promote, so white has to do something about this. So I think rook d4, right? Yeah. So this is the big trap. Black is kind of playing. I mean, actually, black is trying to win, but yeah, if white tries this, then it's still a draw. Mm-hmm. Okay, so bishop f5. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah. Yeah, very nice. Okay, good. So yeah, this one's composed by Reddy. And yeah, bishop f5 is correct. You can also get the same line if black plays here first, then you would want to start with this check. Get the rook over to the e file first. And then yeah, if the king runs any way in this direction, then white, of course, just taking the pawn, stopping the other pawn, and then just wins with the extra rook. So black has to try putting the king on the d file in order to set up the stalemate idea. So if white were to just take here, then once again black promotes, and if white takes, then we have an immediate draw. But no, instead we have bishop d7, which is, yeah, I agree with you guys, very nice. Just beautiful. Yeah, that would be tough. Idea, of course, that if black takes, we're taking here, right? And now there's no more stalemate, so we're winning. And as you mentioned, if black promotes, then we have bishop b5, and we have a forced win in the position. Yeah, this one is tough. This one is definitely not easy. I see. Yeah, sometimes it's yeah. Great. Okay. All right. Let's go to this one. So this is the one you guys struggled with. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I remember solving this one long ago. Um, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, if you're, for example, um, what did you say was the defense for black? Knight f5. Yeah. Threatening this one. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Right. The nice thing is, yeah, like once the knights kind of coordinate, then you know, okay, it's not winning anymore. Mm-hmm. Right. So let's say this, for example. Yeah, I think you guys are pretty close here. So king b2, right? It's like all about finding a square where there's no counterplay. So on a2, there's still going to be this knight c3, right? So if you go king a2, then here, for example, knight d5, and yeah, black's knights escape. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we're threatening rook g3 now, right? And the knights are, well, in this position, like you are threatening this, and like I think all of these are threats actually. Like the knights are maybe not all, no, because here the knight will. Right, I think this is a threat and this is a threat. No, I think both these moves would just win the knight if it was white to play. But on king b7, for example, then like you only have this one. So this is like the, yeah. That's nice, huh? Yeah, this comes by yeah. Yeah, very logical. I mean, you have to realize, like, you have to ask this very important question. I think we discussed this like 2 weeks ago. Like, what is the opponent's next move? And I think that's kind of critical. Once you see that the knights actually don't have a lot of squares that aren't getting skewered, then it's like, oh, yeah, these knights have no way of getting out. But yeah, very cool. Yeah, this is composed by Rank. I think is a French composer. I'm probably completely mispronouncing the name. In 1923, you know, these guys they did it like with no engines. I mean, it's just wild. I feel like they just like discovered this stuff. Oh yeah, very impressive. I mean, some of them are busted. Some of them get cooked. Like a couple like Trotsky studies and so on. Like they'll have mistakes, but still, I mean, yeah, I think it's just like finding diamonds out in nature, basically. Like when they find these positions. Okay, well done. I feel like you guys did pretty good. How long did it take on average to go through the puzzles? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Great. Okay. Um, well, do you guys want to do a few more? I think that's it for the list. Yeah, yeah, I have a few. Let me grab one here. Okay, let's do this. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Yeah, you're talking about like the polar mates where like the first move's not a check, yeah? Right. Um, yeah, I mean those are definitely tricky. I think 2 to 3 minutes is fine because they can be pretty tough. They can be very confusing. Um, I mean, a couple things I always say to try to give advice. It's like, um, I mean, if you're feeling stuck, a good thing is to give the opponent the move and just see where the king can go and see if you can set up a checkmate like against the king moves, if that makes sense. Right. Yeah, so you have to always like kind of keep track of the king, and then it kind of helps to like kind of find those mates. Like if I give this square, is there any other place I can put my queen that will be mate? And then yeah, that can maybe give you a direction. I would also suggest to look for long moves, like where you're moving your queen as long as possible. So if it's like in one corner, try to get it to the other corner. That might work. Usually they're big fans of those moves. Um, okay, I got one here. Here we go. Right. Well, that's the official rule I think for studies and problems. Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. You should check because that's like it's almost like counting the material. But yeah, I think it's assumed if unless you can prove that castling is illegal, then it's just assumed that it's legal. And I think same for, or I think it's the opposite for en passant. With en passant, I think you have to prove that it's legal. But I could be wrong. Because otherwise, you could have a position, for example, with like a white pawn on e5, and then a black pawn on f5, and a black pawn on d5, and it's like, well, you can't, like how do you can't prove that? Like both of these moves can't be legal, both ef6 and ed6. But anyway, this is white to play and win. This one's pretty tough. I think you guys will need some time on this one, so I will mute. You guys let me know when you're ready to discuss. All right, Twitch chat, we're muted in the Discord voice channel. But we have this puzzle on the board. It's white to play and win. It's pretty tough. I see Baymon's line. So b3, king b5, bishop f1 check, king c6. Think about where the pieces are from there. Yeah. So the line is not quite right. Not quite right. But try to figure out why. Hey, chess fan. Okay, Baymon, there's a couple issues in your line, so I'm going to let you sort through it. But the biggest issue that I have is after bishop g2, and you remove bishop g2, you're clearly threatening knight f6 check. Is black really going to play a6 there? Is that really the best move that they can come up with at that point? We're not inventing lines or what, it has to be has to be forced. It has to be winning against the best defense, right? It's not a cooperative puzzle. Those are out there. They're called helpmates, where it's like white to play, and then white tries to get mated. And it's only if white plays in a precise way and black plays in a precise way that white gets mated after 3 moves. Like, you have to find the exact king moves to get mated. Those are tough. Okay, they're saying they're ready. Okay, guys, let's discuss if you're ready. All right, we have bishop e4. Okay, so let's say here, let's start with this one. b3. Wins. Okay, good. All right, that's pretty forcing. How about queen h8? Let's say queen b8. c4. And now we're just threatening this one, yeah? Okay, looks good. How about g6? Just bishop d3 back, right? Okay, I think you're right. Let's see. Here, and then queen b7. And here again, yeah? And then once again, white's threatening this mate. Okay, good. All right, so I think best defense is queen h6. Queen d2, right. And bishop e2. Okay, threatening. Yeah, thinking it's out. So yeah, bishop d3. So queen d2. Bishop e2. Mm-hmm. Well, let's think from here. Yeah, you don't have to answer right now. Let's say black plays a6. Just f3. And say here. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's take a look. So here, white's pushing. Queen can't really ever leave, right? Because of b3. So all black can try is to run the pawn, but white's promoting first. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it puts black in Zugzwang, but yeah, black has pawn moves, so you have to kind of time those right. Where? So are you guys talking about this, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so then, right, white would kind of run out. So this f3, f4 is pretty important. Okay, good. Let's see. This one is by Kubel, actually. Yeah. Kubel also. Oh, sorry. I didn't see that. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's basically, yeah, the same line as if when white gets f4 in. So here white would take, and then queen still can't leave the second rank. So we'd get this again. And white mates. Okay, good. Yeah, so I think for this one, like bishop e4, definitely not too difficult to spot this idea, where you're kind of cutting off the king. But then, yeah, seeing the last detail with bishop e2 and then f3, f4, of course, that makes it, I think, quite a bit harder. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's do this one. All right, white to play. All right, white to play in this next one here. So in the last one, I don't think you could shuffle between bishop e2, bishop f1, because then the queen gets more squares on the f file. So the queen would go like queen f2, and then yeah, black wouldn't be zugzwanged in the end. Hey, David, these are hard. The class here that I'm teaching is 2,000 plus. So yeah, these are pretty tough. So yeah, looking at this puzzle, white has an extra piece and pawn, which is great. But of course, if black can win that pawn, then there's going to be serious drawing chances. So knight f3 check, takes, bishop d2. Yeah, black wins the pawn and draws the game. So bishop d2, this is the big threat that black has, that white has to deal with. In addition to knight takes g2, of course, the bishop is hanging as well. Yes, David, you're very close, actually. You have the right line. You just have to try to work out the very end of that. But you're on the right path. It's knight d2, knight g2. Yeah, 3 more moves there. 3 more moves. You almost got it, though. So nice job. Yeah, white has issues with the bishop on g2 because it's currently hanging. If you play bishop c6, bishop d2, there's no c6 square to use for the knight, exactly. So there's no knight a7 resource. Yeah, bishop f1 also possible. The problem with bishop f1 is black will go bishop d2, knight a7, bishop takes pawn, knight c6 check, king f4, knight takes b4, king g3. Yeah, so after bishop f1, king comes to g3. So white does have a move here. White does need to start with the bishop move. Exactly, knight gets trapped on h2. Hey Viksama, thanks for rating. Hello everyone, hello. We're in the middle of a class here solving a pretty difficult endgame study. So white to play and win. And the group is in the middle of deliberating. So right now, white needs a way to win this. What's going on? Bishop on g2 currently is hanging. Black is starting to take it. Depending on where the bishop goes, black wants to play bishop d2 next and go after the b pawn. And so white needs a way to save everything. Okay. Alrighty, let's start breaking it down. So, what's going on in this puzzle? Right now, the bishop is hanging on g2, and black wants to go bishop d2, right, and pick up this pawn. White does have a resource to defend the pawn in knight a7. So the question is where to put the bishop. Right, so if you play this move, for example, then the issue is bishop d2, you go knight a7, takes, check, black has king f4, takes, king g3. And if white could save all the pieces, white would be winning. But here we're losing one back. So yeah, then 2 pieces versus 1 is going to be a draw. Yeah, 3 versus 1 is winning, but 2 versus 1, draw. What's the issue with bishop f1? Kind of same thing. Bishop d2, knight a7, takes, check. King comes in, king comes here. Knight is caught. Yeah. So what to do? That kind of leaves bishop h1, yeah? Yeah, because what else, right? Because white wants to just move the knight and just run the pawn. Mm-hmm. Let's say we make some move. Let's just say here. Yeah, so this one's just an easy win because the pawn just runs and there's no way to take either of these pieces. You know, the knight is just gonna bounce out. But I think any move wins. I think other knight moves are probably. Well, maybe that one was precise because here there's at least some counterplay like this. Yeah, so this would still be unclear. So let's say knight d4 is a clean way to just keep the extra piece, keep the pawn, and then it's just a win. Yeah, so for this one, let's say white moves the knight somewhere. And then, just gonna run the pawn. Yeah, exactly. Other than bishop d2, there's no move that really poses any real problems for white. This one's kind of the most serious attempt. So, knight a7. Yeah, no, good. So knight a7. Now threatening to just keep the pawn. So black's only try is to take, right? Otherwise, yeah, white's just, white can push the pawn, knight f3 check. If white's getting out, then yeah, extra piece. So bishop takes b4. Knight c6 check. Black has one try here with king f4. Takes, king g3. Say white goes knight f1. King f2. Knight d2. Knight g2. Okay, so let's pause here. White to play. I'll have you guys find the rest. Yeah, knight d3 check. King g1. Knight f3. King takes. Knight f2 mates. Beautiful, beautiful. And if the king comes out, then we just take. And white has two knights hanging, but you can't take them both, huh? You can only take one. Yeah, it's nice. Nice finish. Okay, so this one is very tough. It's kind of a journey. I remember. Yeah, I mean, I have. I think I was looking at this one a while, like when I was prepping the course. And of course, it was too hard for the course. But I remember solving this one. At first, I wanted to skip it because it was like it just looked too weird, and then I just started like thinking about it, like what's happening here. And that happens a lot with studies where at first glance it kind of looks overwhelming. It's like, what's going on? There's like so many minor pieces. But as you start to break it down, it actually does start to make logical sense. Like, okay, number one, the bishop is hanging. If you lose the bishop, right, you're probably not going to win the game. Number two, black has bishop d2. If you lose the pawn, then you're also not going to win the game, right? So once you start looking at it concretely, like, oh wait, like, okay, I move the bishop somewhere, black goes bishop d2. How do I hold on to the pawn? oh, I have this knight a7 trick, and then you kind of start breaking it down bit by bit. What I would suggest is like you basically just start looking at moves and just start kind of calculating. Like you know you have to move the bishop, right? So just pick a square, right? Bishop f1, and just see what happens there. You know, bishop d2, knight a7. Then you might work this line out with like bishop b4, and the king comes to g3 and wins the knight. And then you start to realize, oh, I see, there's some issues here. I can win the piece maybe, but then it's going to be hard to hold on to the 3 pieces. And then bit by bit, you can slowly start to break it down like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it'll be a little tricky because it's like you have to move this knight to push the pawn, and then the bishop will... Gotcha. Oh, I see. Yeah, no, that's a very reasonable idea. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, you do need to kind of know these things. But a lot of it is pretty intuitive. Like 3 pieces versus 1 is winning. 3 versus 2, not winning. You know, one extra minor piece is pretty much never going to be enough. Like the only exception I think is 2 bishops versus a knight, where you have winning chances. Even then, it's not always enough. Well, sometimes it's a win in 75 moves, for example. So you run into issues. Yeah, wild, right? Like, and then of course it's like, you know, computer win. So you have to basically be like table-based precise, which is, you know, just impractical. But it's also, I think, difficult for the defender, you know, so it's kind of goes both ways. Yeah, 3 minor pieces versus 2 is definitely not common. But the thing is, it's like, you know, it's a composed problem. So if 3 pieces versus 2 was winning, right, then it's like, okay, then you don't need the B pawn. You know, what's the point? Yeah, so you can kind of just, right, work your way out that way. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or at least like, yeah, if you're not sure, then it's like, right, it's yeah, you'll probably have a lot of solutions. But yeah, okay, of course the final part is tricky to find. I think you really have to like, you know, you basically just have to go step by step. It's like, all right, bishop h1, that's the best try, and then you got to find black's best defense as well with running towards the minor pieces, and then seeing this knight g2 resource as well, very important to try and force white to give up the bishop. And then if you can get this far, then I feel like the last little bit is like not that hard. Like, it's just you have to be convinced that, okay, this is the solution, and you just have to find like one more idea to make it work. And then yeah, this should become apparent after that. Okay, guys, good stuff. I think we'll end it there. So keep up the training, keep up the good work. Yeah. Absolutely. And okay, I'll try to find some more studies for you guys. All right, take care. See ya. Alrighty, folks, that's it for the class. Yeah, Baemon, that line also draws as well. Right, knight f3 is also very, I think, kind of maybe one of the most obvious moves in the position, but right, runs into this problem again where white can win the bishop, but loses the light square bishop in the end, exactly. Okay, folks, that's gonna do it. Hopefully you enjoyed the studies a bit. I know they're a little bit hard, but that's what it takes at this level to improve. You have to work on hard stuff. You have to work on stuff that really stretches your brain muscles. You know. Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it a bit. That's gonna do it for now. I think I'm gonna go raid Jesse. I think Jesse's doing commentary on Chess Kid, on the big streamers versus kids battle. So let's raid them, see how it's going. My friend Eric is playing, Levy's playing, Anna's playing, and Arthur's. So yeah, we're rooting for the boomers. All right, guys, we're rooting for the boomers. So hopefully you'll enjoy the end of that match there. Alrighty, y'all. Until next time.